North Carolina is a surprisingly great place to go solar, and it ranks fifth in terms of total installed capacity in the United States. They actually do have a pretty large booming utility scale sector, and residential solar has been growing quite a bit since 2017 with some new laws that allowed solar leasing programs to open up in the state. There aren't really many residential incentives available, but there are some really cool loan programs that can help homeowners get low interest loans. So let's go through some of the incentives available to North Carolina homeowners, and you'll find a full list at the link in the video description for desire.org. Now, for the time being, residential homeowners who buy their solar systems can take advantage of the Federal Investment Tax Credit, or the ITC, that provides a 30% credit towards your federal income taxes of the total cost of your system. Thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill, this credit is going away at the end of 2025. So if your system's not installed by December 31st, 2025, you won't be able to take advantage of this 30% credit. That credit is non-refundable, so it won't increase any tax refund you're going to get, but if you don't use all of it, you can roll it over through multiple years. Commercial systems in North Carolina can also take advantage of the Modified Accelerated Cost Recovery System, which lets them depreciate that asset over a 5-year period as opposed to a longer period of time, and then they can take tax credits based on that depreciation. Homeowners in North Carolina that install solar energy systems are able to get a credit and have a property tax exemption for that solar installation. So we know from previous studies that solar installs on a home, specifically owned solar, where you bought it via cash and loan, will increase that home's value by anywhere from 5 to 10% and be a really big selling point for new homeowners. According to Zillow, the average price of a home in North Carolina is $337,000. So that would mean that a home in North Carolina that installs solar could increase the value of that home by anywhere from $16,000 to $33,000. Because of this exemption, then, they won't have to pay any additional property taxes because of that increased value that solar brings. Duke Energy, which is a massive electric utility in North Carolina, offers the state's real one big incentive. Now, what they do is they give you incentives for both installing solar and storage systems at varying rates. For solar, they give you 36 cents per watt AC for your system install. And I say AC because that is a bit of a designation because it goes off of the inverter size. Depending on the inverter you use, you could have 12, 13, 14, maybe even more kilowatts DC of solar on a 10 kilowatt AC system. So make sure you talk to your installer about that. But that would mean that if you installed a 10,000 watt system of 10 kilowatt, you could receive the maximum $3,600 for that solar installation. They're also offering $400 per kilowatt hour up to 13.5 kilowatt hours for energy storage. So at that maximum, that's another $5,400. So potentially, people who are installing the max size solar and storage systems in North Carolina could receive $9,000 for the purchase of their solar, which is a huge benefit for anybody going that way. There's also additional monthly bill credits that you can get from Duke Energy if you participate in their battery control program. This is a virtual power plant program, so if you give Duke access to your battery, they will actually give you monthly bill credits depending on how much money how much energy you are actually able to send out. So it'll give you $6.50 per kilowatt of max discharge capacity, meaning that if you could max discharge at 5 kilowatts, you could receive $32 on your electric bill every month for participating in this program. Now, the program does specify that they're only going to drain your battery between 30 and 36 times per year, and actually break it out differently per season as well. So you're not really losing a whole lot, and it will never drain your battery lower than 20%. So if you are participating in it, it'd be a great way to get some additional money back on your bills. Now, there aren't any other actual rebate incentives available to North Carolina homeowners, but a number of smaller electric utility cooperatives do participate in energy efficiency loan programs through ElecTel Federal Credit Union. With this, you're looking at Randolph Electric, Piedmont Electric, and Union Power. Members of those electric utilities can work with this credit union to be able to receive low-interest loans up to $35,000 for energy efficiency upgrades that include solar as well. Net metering is a program by which a homeowner who generates more energy than they can actually consume inside their home can send that power back out to the grid and get paid for that power. Previously to 2023, North Carolina had, in Duke Energy specifically, a really good net metering program. But as of 2023, Duke actually changed a lot of their net metering rules and offered 2 different versions. One where there's a time of use program, so your energy changes throughout the day depending on demand, and then you're getting energy values according to that. and a traditional flat rate program where your rate is flat, but there are subject to other fees that you will not offset. In both cases, the energy that you set out to the grid doesn't apply to the entirety of the bill, so any value you're sending out is not quite a similar retail value since there are portions that it's just not going to cover on your bill. And North Carolina has a pretty great renewable portfolio standard for the Southeast. They're one of the first states there to actually implement a portfolio standard where they're chasing 12.5% renewable energy. So thanks to that, the utility scale and commercial scale solar will probably continue to grow. Now, residential solar may slow down a little bit due to the loss of the federal tax credit since there aren't many other incentives available, but that Duke Energy incentive of $9,000 potentially could be a lot for homeowners. So you may still see a little bit of growth there, but that area will likely slow. However, when you look at the energy rates in North Carolina, there have been a couple of huge spikes in year-over-year increases in the last few years. So if those do continue, homeowners in North Carolina are going to find a lot of value out of their solar. So we would expect solar in North Carolina to continue to grow. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of our other state incentive videos. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next video.